in every person, and every person, there is an undercurrent that reason cannot grasp. But the heart and intuition can hear. It is like a whisper from the deep sea. You cannot see the current, but you feel its movement beneath your feet. When you ignore that call, you find yourself lost. But when you listen, it leads you through the darkness to a new shore. Intuition is not some strange mysticism, but the silent pulse of your soul. Like the wind filling a sail, guiding the ship in the right direction. The question is not whether you have intuition, but whether you have the courage to listen to it. Then, dear friend, imagine yourself sitting before a vast ocean at twilight. The waves out there are not fierce, yet not entirely calm. They whisper an ancient melody, as if calling you to turn inward. In the encroaching darkness, you hear a faint sound, like a breath. It is not the sound of the outside world, but the voice of intuition, the forgotten voice drowned out by the clamor of reason. Intuition often comes to us as a fleeting sensation, a shiver, an image flashing in the mind, a premonition that defies explanation, but to the soul. It is an invitation to embark, a call to step into the journey of exploring the unconscious, hidden like the ocean. Jung once wrote that intuition is the ability to see what has not yet taken form, a glimpse into the depths, into the latent future, into the uncharted currents of the soul. If reason is like a lamp illuminating a small room, intuition is the moonlight reflecting on an endless sea. It does not offer certainty, but opens a vast space for you to step into. And in this moment, when you recognize that call, you stand at the threshold of an inner journey, moving from the familiar light of consciousness to the misty realm of the unconscious, where symbols and archetypes await your discovery. As you leave the shore of fleeting intuition, the path ahead leads you to the foot of a mist-shrouded mountain. Here, the sound of the ocean waves is gone, replaced by a dense silence like a heavy curtain. The mountain symbolizes both height and depth. To ascend, you must go within. The fog obscures the path, much like intuition when it first appears vague, unclear, offering more a feeling than a concrete image. Many fear this fog, for they crave immediate clarity, a straight and transparent path, but the unconscious never grants such certainty. It challenges us with ambiguity, testing whether we dare to proceed. In the Red Book, I wrote, the path of the soul is never a clear boulevard, but a steep slope hidden beneath clouds, where each step is a revelation. And as you begin to climb the mountain, you realize that the fog does not only conceal, but also protects. It shields you from the blinding light of rational consciousness, allowing intuition to speak. Each step on the misty slope is an act of focused listening, listening to your heartbeat, to the distant whispers of unformed images. Intuition does not shout, it whispers. And to hear it, you must learn to embrace ambiguity as part of the journey, the mist-covered mountain. Therefore, is the first lesson. Intuition does not provide a map, but a sense, and to move forward, you must trust your small steps, believing that each one through the fog brings you closer to the center of your soul. After growing accustomed to your steps in the fog on the mountain slope, the path unexpectedly leads you to a massive stone gate covered in green moss and the marks of time. This gate is not a physical object, but a symbol, the threshold of the unconscious. Standing before it, you feel hesitation. On one side lies the safe light of consciousness, where reason reigns. On the other, beyond the gate, is an unknown world, filled with primal images, or voices, not of the present, but seemingly from a collective memory. I call this the gate of the archetype, where eternal patterns reside, the shadow, anima, animus, and the self. Those who are fearful often stop here, for crossing this gate means accepting that there is a part of us reason cannot control. But you who listen to intuition must learn to read the carvings on the stone, the spiraling patterns, the half-faded figures. All resemble an ancient language written by the soul for you alone. In Psychology and Alchemy, I pointed out that every door to transformation is guarded by symbols. And here, intuition is the key. It does not unlock with logic, but with deep listening, with the courage to ask yourself, what awaits me on the other side? When you touch the stone gate, you realize it does not open with force, but with acceptance. Only when you relinquish the need for control and allow intuition to speak does the gate creak open, revealing a faint sliver of light leading into the depths of the soul. Stepping through the stone gate, you hear a soft sound like the sigh of the earth. The path descends into a dark valley where an underground river flows. Its waters do not reflect sunlight, but carry their own light deep green, shimmering like the eyes of an untold dream. This river is a symbol of intuition. It does not flow in a straight line, but meanders, spirals, sometimes disappearing beneath the earth only to resurface elsewhere. It reminds you that intuition never follows a linear, logical path. Intuition appears as a sudden spark, a racing heartbeat, a strange dream you cannot immediately decipher in man and his symbols. I once said, the language of the unconscious is images, not concepts. And this river is that language. It tells its story through its flow, through the broken mirrors drifting on its surface, through the distant echoes of calls from the other shore. As you listen to the river, you realize that intuition does not come from trying to seize it. The more you force it, the more you demand quick conclusions, the more the water swirls and pulls you into chaos. But when you stand still, relax, and simply let the sound of its flow seep into your soul. Suddenly, an image, an idea, a faint memory rises to the surface like a gift from the unconscious. Remember this. The underground river is where the shadow and intuition meet. There, you will encounter images that consciousness does not wish to see. Yet, they hold the seeds of transformation. And it is the courage to listen to this flow that opens the next step of your journey, the appearance of the invisible guide, the archetype of intuition, a figure within your soul who comes to lead you through the deep forest. You stand silently by the underground river as the fog grows thicker and the atmosphere becomes so still you can hear your own heartbeat. In that moment, a presence emerges, not in a clear form, but as a shadowy figure moving in rhythm with the earth's breath. This figure has no face, or rather, each time you try to discern its features, they shift. Now someone you've met, now a stranger, sometimes even yourself in an unfamiliar form. This is the archetype of the guide, who appears when the soul is ready to delve into the depths of the unconscious. In Greek mythology, Hermes is the guide of souls to Hades. In Eastern traditions, there is the Bodhisattva Avalokiteshvara, who leads consciousness beyond delusion This guide is not someone external, but a part of you, the crystallization of matured intuition, taking the form of an archetype to converse with you. They speak little, their words come like waves in the river. You will never know the path ahead, but walk. You suddenly realize that intuition does not provide a map, but companionship, a reassurance that you are not alone. As you follow the guide, the underground river widens into a vast corridor beneath the mountain. On the stone walls, you see carved symbols: the black sun, sole Niger of alchemy, the coiling serpent, the endless spiral. Each symbol is a language of the unconscious, and intuition is the silent interpreter, helping you understand that these images are not random, but mirrors of your inner self. The invisible guide does not hold your hand, but they are present like a current of air surrounding you. Both urging and supporting, they whisper. You have learned to listen to the waves, feel the wind, hold the fire, cross the gate, and now you dare to face the river. So go on, for this path leads nowhere but to yourself. You realize intuition is no longer a vague sign, but has become an inner companion. It is no longer just a fleeting unease, but a personality within an archetype that emerges to accompany you to the very center of the self. And from here, the journey delves deeper into the place where darkness becomes light, where the hidden flame rises to illuminate the entire soul. The invisible guide leads you deeper into the mountain. The dark corridor widens, and you step into a vast space that words can scarcely describe. It is not a room, but like a primal sanctuary carved into the spine of the world. The ceiling is as high as the sky, the stone walls covered in ancient symbols, spirals upon spirals, sunken eyes, images of birds, serpents, the black sun and the silver moon. These are no longer your personal symbols, but the language of the collective unconscious, the legacy of countless lives that have loved, feared, and dreamed. At the center of the sanctuary, you see a flame rising from ashes. This fire does not radiate heat like ordinary flames, but emits a light both gentle and penetrating. It makes you realize that intuition, once fragile, like a spark lost in the dark, has now become the radiant center of the soul. This is the moment of alchemy. From Nigredo to dissolution, darkness, confusion. You have reached Rubedo, the red glow of the unifying flame, where opposites are wed, conjunctio oppositorum. The invisible guide whispers, this is what you sought, but also what you feared. You feared the fire would consume you, but now you see it only wishes to illuminate. You step closer, and in the firelight, images begin to rise. The faces of your parents, the one you love, the one you once hated, the children you once were, and even yourself in an aged form. All these fragments, which you thought were disparate, are now gathered in a single gaze. At this moment, you understand. Intuition is not merely for guiding everyday decisions, but is the current connecting all parts of you, both light and darkness, both human and divine. Intuition, when listened to, becomes the bridge between the small ego and the eternal self. It does not tell you where to go, but shows you who you are. Whole and undivided, you kneel before the fire, not to worship, but to acknowledge, I have crossed the deep sea, the mist-covered mountain, the stone gate, the underground river, and now I stand in the sanctuary. This fire is not outside me, but within me. The fire accepts you. And in that moment, you no longer see the invisible guide, for you have become your own guide. This is when you realize the journey of intuition does not end with a whisper, but is complete when you become that voice, living as a vibrant symbol of the soul, in harmony with the whole, as the fire in the sanctuary blazes, enveloping the space in a gentle yet steadfast light. You suddenly realize that the journey does not end here. This light is not meant to confine you within the mountain, but to grant you a gift, the rebirth of vision. Intuition is no longer a faint whisper or a shadowy figure in a dream, but has become an inner light that can guide you as you step back into the world. You stand, your body light, as if you've shed a 1,000-year burden. The path back out of the cave is no longer a solitary journey. Intuition, once the invisible guide, has now merged with you. It does not walk ahead or behind, but breathes in rhythm with you, pulses with your heartbeat as you pass through the stone gate again. On the fog, on the mountain slope begins to clear, revealing a new of clear and vast sky. At the foot of the mountain, you see the ocean again, but it is no longer the fearsome sea of the unconscious. Now, it is a mirror reflecting the dawn. The waves no longer roar, but breathe like an old friend. Intuition remains the undercurrent, the invisible wind, but you have learned to listen to it. And more than that, to live in its rhythm. You begin to walk along the shore where the beach welcomes you back to daily life. But everything has changed. When someone approaches, you no longer see just their face, but feel the invisible current they carry. When a decision arises, you no longer rush to reason, but let the wind of intuition touch your sail first, listening to where it pushes the ship. In this moment, you understand, intuition is not a tool to escape the world, but to live more deeply within it. It does not tell you to avoid, but teaches you to see more clearly, listen more closely, and embrace more widely. As you return to ordinary life, talking with friends, working, loving, enduring loss, you carry a secret. The fire in the sanctuary still burns. The underground river still flows, and the invisible guide is still there. Within you, you pose, looking towards the sunrise. Dawn is not the end of darkness, but the union of darkness and light. Intuition is the same. It is where the shadow whispers and the self responds. And you realize that the path of individuation never truly ends. It continues in every step, every decision, every dream you have yet to dream. You smile, the sea, the wind, the fire, the mountain, the gate, the river, all are no longer outside, but within you. And you know, from now on, whenever life throws you into chaos, you need only listen to the intuitive pulse of your own being. When you have returned to the shore and carry within you the fire of intuition, you realize a simple yet profound truth. The journey does not stop at the mountain or the sanctuary, but begins in every ordinary moment. Intuition does not appear only in strange dreams or mystical symbols, but echoes in fleeting glances, in unexplained restlessness, in the quiet certainty of being on the right path. It is no longer a distant call, but the breath hidden beneath every pulse of life. I want to tell you this. Treat intuition like a loyal but sensitive friend. If you ignore it, it will retreat into the shadows, becoming a troubling whisper. If you deify it, it may turn into a fanatical illusion. But if you listen with respect, intuition will become the silent conductor of your life, harmonizing the rhythm between reason, emotion, sensation, and the unconscious. In psychological types, I said, intuition sees possibilities, not facts. This means intuition does not guarantee certainty, but opens the door to vitality and creativity. And here, you must learn a dual art, to trust and to verify. Let intuition guide the way, then use reason and experience to build the foundation. Write down your dreams, sit in stillness and listen to the pulse of your soul. Pay attention to the small signs in your day. A nameless feeling, a meaningful coincidence, a phrase that rings true at the right moment. These are all ways intuition speaks to you. Finally, I invite you to live as a symbol belonging to both darkness and light. Do not reject any part of yourself. For intuition speaks most clearly when you accept your whole being. And as you walk the path of life, remember the deep sea, the wind, the fire, the gate, the river, the sanctuary, all are within you, whispering to you every day. Listen